Have you ever wondered what causes those gigantic dust storms you see on the news? Dust storms, a spectacle of nature's power, are more than just an awe-inspiring sight. They're a swirling, blinding, and often destructive force that can change landscapes and even climates. Imagine walls of dust standing hundreds of feet tall, engulfing entire cities in minutes. Picture the gritty sensation of sand in your mouth, your eyes, your home. This is the reality for people living in parts of the world where dust storms, also known as sandstorms, are a common occurrence. These places include the dry desert regions of North Africa, the Middle East, and the southwestern United States, where the combination of sand, wind, and specific weather conditions create the perfect storm, literally. By the end of this video, you will understand what causes these natural phenomena and why they occur in certain parts of the world. Dust storms, also known as haboobs, are not random. They are the result of specific atmospheric conditions. Let's start with the basics. You know when you're at the beach and a gust of wind blows and you get sand in your sandwich? That's a mini example of what happens in a dust storm. Now imagine that on a much larger scale. Dust storms begin when strong winds lift loose particles from the ground into the air. These particles could be anything from tiny grains of sand to larger pieces of dirt. The key is that they're light enough to be picked up by the wind but heavy enough to be carried along with it. But it's not just any old gust that can whip up a dust storm. We're talking about powerful winds here, often produced by severe weather events like thunderstorms. The strong downdrafts from these storms can kick up dust and debris from the ground and carry it high into the air. Now you might be wondering, why don't we see dust storms everywhere then? Well, that's where weather and geography come into play. Certain conditions can exacerbate or mitigate these storms. For instance, drought-stricken areas with loose, dry soil are prime dust storm territory. On the other hand, areas with a lot of vegetation or moisture in the soil are less likely to experience dust storms. That's because the roots of plants help to hold the soil together, and moisture weighs the soil down, making it harder for the wind to pick up particles. Furthermore, the geography of an area can also influence the occurrence of dust storms. Flat, open landscapes with little to no barriers like mountains or forests are more susceptible to dust storms as the winds can move freely across the land, picking up particles as they go. So, dust storms are not just an act of nature, but a complex interplay of wind, weather, and geography. In the next scene, we'll dive into where these fascinating and sometimes frightening phenomena most commonly occur. Stay tuned. Dust storms are not a global phenomenon. They tend to occur in specific parts of the world. Now let's dive into the regions where these dramatic events are most common. Take the Sahara Desert, for instance. This vast expanse of sand is the world's largest hot desert, and it's a prime location for dust storms. Why? The Sahara has an arid climate with loose soil which easily gets picked up by the strong winds. When these winds blow across the desert, they carry the dust and sand high into the atmosphere, creating these awe-striking dust storms. The Middle East is another hotspot for dust storms. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran are particularly prone. Much like the Sahara, the Middle East is characterized by dry, barren landscapes and strong winds. The loose surface material in this region can be easily swept up by these winds, resulting in frequent dust storms. And let's not forget about Australia. Certain parts of this continent, especially the interior regions, are susceptible to dust storms. The dry climate and loose soil conditions, coupled with the occasional strong winds, make these areas a breeding ground for dust storms. So what do all these regions have in common? They all have arid climates, loose soil, and strong winds. The perfect recipe for a dust storm. As we can see, geography plays a significant role in the occurrence of dust storms. Dust storms are not just an awe-inspiring spectacle, they can have significant impacts on people and the environment. Let's delve into the potential impacts of dust storms, starting with health problems. When dust storms hit, they whip up a cocktail of tiny airborne particles which can be easily inhaled. For many, this can trigger allergies and asthma, while others may suffer from more severe respiratory issues. The fine dust particles can even penetrate the lungs and bloodstream, causing a host of complications. Now imagine you're at an airport, all set for a holiday. Suddenly, a dust storm rolls in, grounding flights and disrupting travel plans. This isn't an uncommon scenario in places frequently hit by dust storms. The reduced visibility and threat to engine performance from airborne dust particles can make air travel a risky proposition. And it's not just us humans who bear the brunt of these storms. Consider the plight of farmers. Dust storms can strip away the topsoil, the nutrient-rich layer that's essential for crops. This soil erosion can lead to reduced crop yields and ultimately economic loss. But it's not all doom and gloom. Dust storms also have a silver lining. They play a crucial role in transporting nutrients across vast distances. For instance, the dust carried by storms from the Sahara Desert travels thousands of miles, replenishing nutrients in the Amazon rainforest. This transcontinental journey of dust is like a lifeline, nourishing ecosystems far and wide. In the grand scheme of things, dust storms also contribute to the Earth's climate system. They can reflect sunlight back into space, which could potentially cool the Earth's surface. Though this effect is still under study, it's a fascinating insight into how interconnected our planet's systems truly are. While they can be destructive, dust storms are a fascinating and important part of our planet's weather system. So, next time you hear about a dust storm, remember, it's not just dust in the wind, it's a marvel of nature with far-reaching impacts. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the science behind dust storms to their impact on our world. In the journey, we've unraveled the mystery of how and why they form, learned about the regions most prone to them, and explored their significant effects on our environment. These formidable natural events are not just spectacles, but are intricately linked to our Earth's ecosystem. Next time you see a dust storm on the news, you'll know exactly what's happening and why. Thanks for watching.